Hi everybody, I apologize for the technical delay there as we got ourselves started, but I wanted to welcome everyone to Jackson Hole and our Ecotours weekly roundup. Thank you for joining us as we explore the fun things that have been going on here in the greater Yellowstone ecosystem. So our eco-tour guides have been out in the wild and all over the place this week to get you some great footage of everything that's been out and about in this early spring weather. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at all of those fantastic videos that they've been shooting all week, just to give you a view of the greater Yellowstone ecosystem. Then I'm going to give you guys a chance to win an Ecotours gift card, good for the Ecotours gift shop and for Ecotours trips, by answering a trivia question in the comments below. And then last but not least, I'm here to answer some questions, whatever questions you may have. So let's go ahead and get started. We'd love to hear from you about what you guys would like to see in future weeks here. But in the meantime, we've got a lot to announce, including the fact that Ecotours is going to go ahead and resume tours in late May when Grand Teton and Yellowstone National Park reopen. So we're all very, very excited about that as well. So let's get started. Bears, I think, are everybody's favorite. I figure we should start things off with a bang. Our Ecotour guide, Maddie, got some fantastic footage of a grizzly mother and cub, which we'll get to in just a moment. But we've got quite a few bears out roaming the landscape this week. Grand Teton and Yellowstone have both black bears, grizzly bears that are present here in the area. But just recently, we're starting to see some pretty strong activity as they come out of hibernation. Most importantly, the bears we care about, right? So everybody's been asking me how grizzly bear 399 is doing. She hasn't been seen yet, but that's not necessarily atypical for her. She is a really old bear in her early 20s, and it's a long time for a bear to live, so we're all very hopeful we'll be seeing her this year. Once we've got some viewings of her, I will certainly let you know. Her daughter, grizzly bear 610, has also not quite been seen yet, but that's not unusual for her. She likes to make a late appearance, so not too surprising for her. We'll keep you posted. Grizzly bear Felicia, which lives up sort of in the northeastern corner outside of Grand Teton National Park. Very famous bear. Was spotted last week and continues to be seen all this week. She was most famous for being pretty visible to viewers in the area, but she had a small cub which she got separated from late last summer. And that little cub, everybody got very worried about him as he got pretty skinny. They actually ended up getting reunited in the late fall. Unfortunately, we did see that Felicia does not have a cub this spring, which means the cub likely did not survive. Last but not least, of course, Blondie, who is my personal favorite. I love Blondie. Blondie usually makes an appearance about this time, but she does so in northern Grand Teton National Park, where, of course, it is closed to public entry. So it may be that she's out and about, and we haven't quite seen her. In the meantime, let's enjoy some of this fantastic footage that Maddie took from last summer. Here's Ecotours guide Maddie with a mother grizzly and her cub.
This is pretty cool, this little tandem chow fetches they got going on. That's awesome.
Yeah, if you don't mind. A reminder, of course, to go ahead and give grizzly bears and black bear their space when you see them. You definitely want to stay at least a football field away. But boy, it's pretty a special time to see them eating that fresh green grass there just on the shores of Jackson Lake. So, another big spring event this time of year is the courtship of sage grouse. And sage grouse are a pretty controversial bird out there. I'm sure you might have heard a little bit about them in the news, but we have a pretty healthy population of them here in Jackson Hole. We're super fortunate that our Ecotours guide, Josh Metten, was out just south of Pinedale recently to get some really amazing, fantastic footage of these awesome sage grouse. So let's take a look at him as he goes out and explores this.
Good morning, Josh here with Ecotour Adventures. I want to show you this sage grouse lek we're on down south of Pinedale, Wyoming. Every March and April, sage grouse get together in what's called a lek, where all the males males gather around and they display in hopes of mating with females. We're about 400 yards away from this lake with over 30 grouse on it right now. Check it out. Looks like there's one female walking around, and all of these males are trying to get her attention. She's the one that doesn't have the flared tail. Over to the left. She's just eating away. The male's spinning around trying to get her attention. Nothing.
So how cool is that? Pretty amazing video from Josh there. To see sage grouse lekking, you definitely want to be getting up just before dawn to just after dawn out on the sagebrush flats. Historically, you definitely need to give yourself some distance, or you're going to keep them focused on you instead of on each other. But it is a once in a lifetime experience to go out and see those sage grouse. So thank you, Josh. The other really exciting thing that happens in the spring, besides of course the pronghorn returning, which gets me really excited because pronghorn, as folks who've gone out on trips with me will know, are my absolute favorites, are that the elk are starting to migrate up into the higher altitudes and kind of get out of the valley floor. If you want to go out and see elk right now, you certainly could still see some on the National Elk Refuge, but as of May 1st, all the winter wildlife closures in the Bridger Teton National Forest definitely opened, and also in the other national forests in the area, so that people can once again travel into those areas. May 1st is also traditionally the start of the search for antlers. Antlers, of course, are produced by moose, elk, mule deer, white-tailed deer in the area. They do fall off every year and regenerate, and folks like to go out and pick them up. They can be quite profitable to find. So many of our Ecotours guides this week were out and about looking for antler. I went out and looked for a couple hours. I didn't see a single antler, but I did find a lot of other cool things. And so did our owner, Ecotours guide, Taylor, and this is a pretty good scene that he found.
Hey guys, hey, this is Taylor. May 1st, about 10 in the morning, and we're out in the newly opened Bridger Teton National Forest looking for shed antlers. It's an awesome day. Stoked to be out here with some great friends, and yeah, we're looking for antlers. Yeah, it's interesting. So typically some of the largest bulls, maybe a month and a half ago, started dropping their antlers. And this whole area is closed all winter for protecting the winter wildlife. So here, today's opening day, and we're out looking for shed antlers. You know, here I did find a kill from this past winter, or a mortality of sorts. Looks like an elk. I see some, some hooves. And what really struck me when I saw this was the fresh grass just growing in this area. There's some studies out there and starting to prove that like these carcasses end up being a source of nutrition for plant growth. So it's just an awesome example of how kind of the death of this elk is promoting the grasses, other vegetation to grow with this kind of nutrient load into the system. Hey, hope you enjoy.
All right, so that's pretty cool. There's definitely carcasses abounding all over the Bridger Teton ecosystem, as of course we had a relatively hard winter and not every elk survived. So go out there and find your own cool bones. My personal favorite are to find those little toe bones that are present in some of those elk to be found out there. There's also a lot of wildflowers that are out and about right now. A lot of people think early spring, grass just coming out. How many wildflowers can there be? But of course those grizzlies are out feeding on Indian potato plant, spring beauty. Wildflowers are an incredibly important part of a lot of different animals' diets. Particularly the herbivores, but certainly the omnivores like bears as well. So yellow bell, which is always a really pretty one, steer's head, queen cup, biscuit roots, that's certainly up. That's also a really important food source. Yellow violet's one of my favorites. And of course, there should be shooting stars out and about. Now, for those of you guys who know me, know shooting stars are my favorite, and I haven't seen a single shooting star yet this year, which is a tragedy. I've looked everywhere. They should be out. By my records, they should be out. So if anybody is seeing any shooting stars, do send us a link, send us a picture. We'll feature you next week with any of the fun videos that you want to send our way. But please, somebody send me a shooting star. I love those flowers desperately, and they really are pretty neat. The other thing, of course, that we're excited about this week are birds of prey coming back into the valley. So a lot of our winter residents have gone ahead and migrated southward towards warmer climes. And of course, a lot of our summertime residents are making their way up. In addition, we've got a whole group of birds, because we're on the migratory flyway, that are also migrating through right now that you won't necessarily see later in the summer, but you can see right now. Of course, the big favorite everybody loves are eagles, which have returned to the valley and begun, they've laid their eggs and they're sitting on their nests right now. Baby eaglets should be hatching anytime. Ecotour's guide Chelsea got some great footage of an eagle. Check this out. So those eagles are going to sit on those nests for a couple of weeks. Both the male and female will work together to raise the young. One of the easy ways to tell them apart is they are sexually dimorphic, which means the females are actually larger than the males. Yeah, go females. And so if you're looking at a pair of eagles and you're trying to figure out who's who anywhere here in the United States, a really good way to do it is to go ahead and look for the bigger one, most likely probably the female. Not necessarily the one sitting on the nest though. The males certainly put in their fair share of incubating those eggs as well. Ecotour's guide Mike got some really fun footage of osprey, who are also out incubating their nests right now. So pretty neat. That male was trying to court that female, says Mike, and she was not necessarily very interested in that. She was mostly ignoring him, but he'll go ahead and he's going to bring fish to the nest and feed her and the eaglets. It's a pretty thankless job throughout the summer until those, not eaglets, young osprey start to fledge. Fun fact, osprey are not eagles and they're not hawks. They're something else entirely. They've got their own little family group there, which is pretty fun. Some other highlights include returning kestrels, which are one of my big favorites. Cooper's hawks, Swainson's hawks are coming back, which are always really fun. Just, you know, if you're looking for something that looks a little bit like a red-tailed hawk but doesn't have that red tail, you might suspect Swainson's hawks. Nesting raptors, of course, are a big deal, like we just talked about. And in water areas, you know, common mergansers really commonly will follow boats this time of year. We've got gadwall, we've got common golden eyes, we've got barrows, golden eyes, teals, bufflehead, which are just the most fun bird if you're going to be down by the water, are super fun. And of course, great blue herons probably are out and about, but just beginning to come back from warmer climes in the last week. So still a little bit of a rare sighting, but you might see one out there. Send one our way if you see it. And then of course, if you've been out biking or been out walking around, you're going to see lots of the red-headed blackbirds and just starting to come in the yellow-headed blackbirds in all those sort of marshy areas where you're seeing the ducks as well. One of my favorite signs of spring in marshes and also open in the sagebrush are, of course, western meadowlarks. Western meadowlarks are just vivid, beautiful yellow birds, and they've got a wonderful call. Their song is really, really distinctive. Ecotour's guide Maddie got a fantastic view of a western meadowlark giving us a call. Now, what's interesting about these guys is they're quite conspicuous. If you actually go and look on fence posts or out really in the open on the only high thing, odds are there's going to be a male meadowlark out right now calling for females and trying to tempt them for breeding with his song. Sort of random fun fact about these guys. Eastern meadowlarks and western meadowlarks are actually virtually identical. It's very hard to tell the difference between one versus the other. And when I was in college, I had an ornithology professor who gave us an exam where we had to go out in the field and we had to just write down what the bird was after he saw it. You know, see that? That's number one. See that? That's number two. And he pointed out what I knew, of course, was a meadowlark, but it was in Wisconsin, which means it could have been an eastern or a western, and he wouldn't sing. It was early spring and he wouldn't sing. And so I got that question wrong, and it's been 20 years and I'm still mad about it. But for you easterners out there, I encourage you to go listen to that song and compare and contrast it to that western meadowlark that we just saw there. So thanks for that, Maddie. That's pretty great. And then, of course, I can't not mention songbirds without mentioning mountain bluebirds, which is, of course, the local favorite. That vivid, bright blue. Don't have any of that orange chest like you'd see on eastern and western bluebirds. Ours are really distinctive with that bold, bold blue color. So definitely keep an eye for them. They're kind of out in the open meadows. A great place to see them is out in the cow fields where all the baby cows are being born. Might as well go see those while you're at it. It's a great place to see raptors as well. And then in and amongst the grasses, looking for all sorts of different insects, including ticks, which hang out in those cow fields, are those mountain bluebirds. So that's definitely a great thing to be seeing right now. If you're super nerdy like me and you want to go see some butterflies, it's going to be a little bit of a tough time right now for butterflies, but the two easiest are going to be the red admiral and the morning cloak butterflies. I'd get up a little bit in elevation. They actually like a little bit of that snow if you can still find it. But keep in mind that actually the best way to see them is up somewhere like Teton Pass, where there's open gravel and then there's these little pools of water, and they come down to drink from that. And they also, of course, like all those wildflowers we were talking about earlier. So keep an eye open for those guys. I know it seems early in the spring, but we do have butterflies out and about at this point. The other thing that should be out that I haven't quite seen yet, but I think definitely any day now, are morel mushrooms, which is another big local favorite. I'm not going to give you any good places to find morel mushrooms because, of course, that's a trade secret for anybody who goes and picks those mushrooms, but definitely suggest river bottoms, areas that have been recently burned. Look on the far side, the wet side of trees, and you're going to have good success. Make sure you're really well versed in the differences between morels and false morels before you eat them, just like you should with any mushroom. But boy, are they good with a little bit of garlic and butter. Ooh, that doesn't really need much more than that. Maybe some pasta. Ooh, my mouth is drooling just thinking about it. I can't even begin. So keep an eye out for those morels. And then, yeah, last but not least, on the video segment of things, we've got a trivia question for you. So our hope would be every Wednesday, we're going to go ahead and try and have a trivia question for you. This one comes from Guide Maddie this week. He wants you to name the animal who's making the call in the following video. What you're going to do is you're going to comment in the comment section what you think it is, and you have to like the Ecotours Facebook or Instagram page. If you comment correctly, we'll pick one winner at random who's done both of those, liked the page and correctly answered the question. And you'll get a $10 gift card to our Ecotours web store. That's a new thing for us. We opened this store with a lot of apparel, art, guide created art, Mangelson prints. All of the money raised in that gift store goes towards funding Ecotour employees and guides health insurance, 100% of the proceeds. So feel free to click the shop now on the Facebook button or in Instagram and go check out some of the cool stuff there. And one lucky winner is going to get $10 towards that store. I wish I was competing because I really want some of those owl stickers, but I already know the answer. So okay, listen carefully. See if you can figure out what makes this noise. Okay, did everybody get that? Let's play it one more time just to make sure that you all got a couple chances. Okay, if you know the answer to what made that call, go ahead and comment in the section below, and like the Ecotours or Instagram pages, whichever you're watching this on. Let us know and we'll see if we can't get you that gift card. So, couple things. What have you seen this week, right? What are you looking for? What would you like to see from this broadcast? We're excited to see the first bison calves, which should be showing up any day. So we'll show you those as soon as we can, as well as, of course, the updates on grizzly. We're going to have a lot to talk about when it comes to moose next week, which is going to be fun. Loons, of course, are always a big competition amongst guides to see who can see the first loon of the year. So there's definitely a lot of active competition to go and find those guys. Remember, if you're going to share sightings of wildlife with us or anybody else, be conscious of who might see that information and the consequence it might have for the animal. Definitely certain animals can handle that a little better than others. You wouldn't want to share with everybody where a coyote den was, for instance, because the coyotes would be overwhelmed by people trying to go and see that. So think a little bit about being ethical about where you're recording things that you're seeing. A picture's just fine. It speaks 1,000 words. You don't have to tell us necessarily where you found it, but we'd love to see it. And then for those of you who are joining us from afar, comment where you're joining us from. We'd love to know how far this video is coming from. I'd love to see the idea that it's going around the world. That would be a real hit for me. So let us know where you're watching from. We certainly would enjoy that as well. And feel free to share the video if you want people to get a little bit of a couch vacation, some of these fun videos as well. So we've got a couple fun things coming up. That's all we've got for sightings this week, but I did want to let you know we're going to do another live broadcast on May 12th with the Teton Raptor Center, and then again on the 21st at 5:30 p.m. Here's the Raptor Center to tell us a little bit more about that.
Hey guys, we hope you can join us for a partner Facebook Live with Ecotour Adventures on Tuesday, May 12th. That's going to be at 10 o'clock a.m. in the mountains, 11 o'clock Central, 12 o'clock Eastern, and 9 o'clock if you're on the West Coast. We hope you can join us.
All right. So I hope you join us with that Raptor Center, those two talks. It's going to be great. We're going to talk to some of the biologists, get really nerdy about owls and birds of prey in the area. Should be really, really fun and a great fun family-friendly event. So this was our first attempt at our first Facebook Live broadcast. Let me know how I did. Give us some comments, what have you. In the meantime, if you've got questions, I'll stay on over the next couple minutes. I'm probably going to, because of technical difficulties, will answer in the comments section, so I'll turn off for now. But go ahead and tell us a little bit more about what you'd like to know, what you'd like to see, and any questions about the natural world you have, and I'll go ahead and see if I can't get you some answers. If I can't get you an answer right away, I promise I'll find out, and you will know for sure. That's all we've got from Jackson Hole this week. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon.